So today's Dharma talk is called Pointing Directly to Mind. Zen is, so supposedly Bodhidharma said this phrase, that Zen is a special transmission outside of the scriptures, not founded upon words and letters. By pointing directly to one's mind, it lets one see into one's true nature and thus attain Buddhahood. For years, I followed the instructions of my teacher to put it all down and then see into the very nature of my mind. Zen Master Bodhidharma brought this teaching to China and is considered the founder of Zen. Bodhidharma was the youngest of three princes, and at an early age, he had an interest in truth. And this curiosity led him to give up his princely ways and study under the female master, Prajnatara. It was Prajnatara that commissioned Bodhidharma to leave his home in India and to travel all the way to China to spread the teachings of the mind-to-mind transmission. China at that time was experiencing an explosion of interest in the Dharma, with huge amounts of people dedicated to translating and studying the sutras. When Bodhidharma arrived in China in the later part of the 5th century, there was approximately 2,000 Buddhist temples and 36,000 clergy in the south alone. In the north, the census in 477 counted 6,500 temples and nearly 80,000 monks. But here was the problem. There was no realized masters of the way. They were lost in words, getting further and further away from the truth. Seeing this, Prajnatara felt great compassion and treated Bodhidharma to make the harrowing journey to help awaken these beings from their dependence on words and show them the truth of their minds. He was asked to transmit the mind seal. A student once asked Bodhidharma, if someone is determined to reach enlightenment, what is the most essential method one can practice? Bodhidharma said, the most essential method, which includes all methods, is beholding the mind. But how can one method include all the others, the student asked. Bodhidharma answered, the mind is the root from which all things grow. If you can understand the mind, everything else is included. It's like a tree. All of its fruits and flowers, its branches, its leaves, all depend on the root. If you nourish its root, a tree multiplies. If you cut its root, it dies. Those who understand the mind reach enlightenment with minimal effort. Those who don't understand the mind practice in vain. Everything good or bad comes from your own mind. To find something beyond the mind is impossible. But how can beholding the mind be called understanding, the student asked. When a great bodhisattva delves deeply into perfect wisdom, he or she realizes that the 4 elements and the 5 shades are devoid of a personal self. And he realizes that the activity of his mind has 2 aspects, pure and impure. By their very nature, these 2 mental states are always present. They alternate as cause or effect depending on conditions. The pure mind delighting in good deeds, the impure mind thinking of evil. Those who are not affected by impurity are sages. They transcend suffering and experience the bliss of Nirvana. All others trapped by the impure, the small mind, and entangled by their own karma, we call those people mortals, sentient beings. They drift through the 3 realms and suffer countless afflictions. We see this, right? When we're wrapped up in mind, we're afflicted, all kinds. And all because this impure mind obscures their real self. The Sutra of the 10 Stages says, in the body of mortals is the indestructible Buddha nature. Like the sun, its light fills endless space. But once veiled by the dark clouds of the 5 shades, it's like a light inside a jar hidden from view. And the Nirvana Sutra says, all mortals have the Buddha nature, but it is covered by darkness from which they cannot escape if they don't know the way. Our Buddha nature is awareness. Our Buddha nature is awareness. To be aware and to make others aware. To realize awareness is liberation. Everything good has awareness for its root. From this root of awareness grows the tree of all virtues and the fruit of nirvana. Beholding the mind like this is understanding. The mind is the source of all virtues, and this mind is the chief of all powers. The eternal bliss of nirvana comes from the mind at rest, like you experienced in meditation. Rebirth in the three realms also comes from the mind. The mind is the door to every world, and the mind is the ford to the other shore. My comment. You have to want to be free. You must break free from the prison of mind that you're wrapped up in and trapped by. The way is easy for those of us who don't get distracted by words, concepts, or ideas. Going beyond the meanderings of mind, they discover an open spaciousness that is empty, pure, and clear, unaffected by all of our shenanigans. There are no books to read, no concepts to memorize. We just put it all down and we look into the mind. When you look into your own mind, and you will yourself come to discover that the mind has two aspects. One aspect is the small mind, which is bound by thoughts, ideas, concepts, memories. The small mind is always changing, changing, changing. It loves and delights in greed, hatred, and delusion. It's always caught up in me thinking. It's lost in the delusion of I am. We're all very familiar with this mind, yeah? All very familiar. And it probably, if we're not doing the practice, if we haven't had mind, the clarity of mind pointed out directly to us, it probably rules a lot of our day, triggering us, catching us. The other aspect of mind is awareness. It's open, empty, and unhindered like space. Maybe you've experienced it when we're in meditation. You've seen it for yourself. Zen Master Shen Hu said, the single word awareness is the gateway to all mysteries. You want the mysteries of the universe to be revealed to you? Just nurture awareness. My Zen teacher, Hwasan Yagil Sanim, said to me, if you want to discover universal truth, then you must discover the truth of the self. The true self is beyond all concepts of a you, a person, a being. The true self is open and free. You yourself right now are in possession of this true self. We just look back at the space-like nature of mind, that open clarity in which all thoughts, emotions, and perceptions arise in. Look at the space. Don't get caught up in the thoughts. Look at the space in which the thoughts arise in. If you look back at your mind right now, you will discover that it is clear, still, and empty. It's like a mirror reflecting whatever arises, at the same time is unaffected by whatever arises. There's nothing holy or special about it. So when you sit, just sit deeply in awareness. Just remain vividly awake. It's very simple, very ordinary. Nothing special whatsoever. This empty clarity has been there your whole life. It's unchanging, unborn. It's pure and unaffected by all your worries and woes. The masters throughout time have had this empty open mind pointed out to them. All of them have put down conceptualization and studying, put down books, and have just sat nurturing awareness. The small mind, seeing its true nature, dissolves into this emptiness. It's like a wave realizing that it's the ocean. The currents and torments of the small mind are stilled by not engaging, not grabbing onto, not clinging, not attaching to our own mental fantasies. Just don't grasp at appearances. Not being attached by the 10,000 things, just let go and be at ease in the open spaciousness of mind. After all thoughts, memories, and ideas have dissolved, the empty, clear clarity of our mind remains. It's always there, even in the midst of thoughts, memories, and ideas, it's there. But once a mind is still, one can see and recognize that the nature of mind is calm, clear, empty. Bodhidharma's student, Dazu Ryuke, sat still, gazing at a wall for a long time in order to cut off thinking and conditioning. Just sat staring at the wall. That was the practice Bodhidharma gave his student. When he had cut off all conditioning, Bodhidharma asked, "Have you gotten rid of it or not?" Dazu answered, "Even though I have cut off all thought, I still not have gotten rid of it." Bodhidharma then asked, "What proof do you have to say that you haven't gotten rid of it?" Hyuke answered, that empty clarity of mind, it's utterly self-evident. Words can't really get at it. Bodhidharma then sanctioned him, saying, "Just this is the intrinsically pure mind. Have no further doubts." Nurture the empty field of awareness. To nurture something is to pay attention to it, to care for it, to be interested in it. Stop being interested in thoughts, memories, concepts, ideations, fabrications. Stop being interested in those things. You already know that story. It hasn't made you happy. Nurture awareness. Let go of the graspings at the conjurings of the small mind and rest in the radiance of the empty, still, clear mind that is with you all. This empty, still mind is with you always. Always. To allow your Buddha nature to shine through is to affirm that the Buddha is here right now. Right now. In this place, at this very moment. This moment free of all thoughts. What's wrong with this moment if you just stop thinking? So rest in thought-free awareness and discover the truth for yourself. Let all concepts and ideas fade away and find out for yourself the innate wisdom bliss that is your birthright. It's the truth of who you are. Bodhidharma said the eternal bliss of Nirvana comes from the mind at rest. Put it all down. See into the nature of your mind right now. See that it's empty, still, clear. And that empty stillness and clarity has been with you always. When you're a child, teenager, adult, all the time. The empty stillness is always there, has always been there. Just allow the currents of the mind to settle and your Buddha nature will be revealed to you. Claim your inheritance now, for you yourself are a Buddha. And let me stop recording.